Reality. It's an ambiguous concept. It's an individual's perception of environment and situations with their five senses. What that means is how you perceive it is how it is. So when we come to terms with that, we realize we, in fact, create our reality.
We create our own reality. We decide who we are and what we're gonna be. We create our own.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Leveled Up podcast with me, your host, Mike Adler. Hope everybody's doing well today, ready to start the week off strong. As always, thank you for joining me here today and for taking the time to watch this. You know, this is all for nothing if you don't watch. And if you could click share and help get this in front of other people, that would mean the world to me, as it will help spread these messages and people listen to their friends when they recommend things. So by you clicking share, it co-signs the fact that you think that this has some value for the people that you share it with. So it's a very simple thing you can do that goes a long way for the show. So I would appreciate that. And if you could click subscribe, the channel has more authority if it has more subscribers. So just click that subscribe button. We are still exclusively on YouTube. I will eventually get this on other platforms, but I just want to build up some episodes and just get in a flow. Really, I think we're on episode like 24 or something. So, which is awesome. As I've said before, most podcasts never make it past episode 20. So we're on the track to making this really become something. But I'm in it for the long haul, as you have to be with big endeavors, whether it's a business, a committed relationship, whatever big thing in your life. You gotta go at it with the mindset that thinking big picture, long term. So many people get caught up thinking narrow and right now. And while you do have to live in the now, you have to think big picture. They say, successful people will think in terms of decades, whereas unsuccessful people tend to think in terms of months or maybe a year or two. But great things take a long time. So we're just going to keep plugging away here. And the show will evolve as it evolves, but as for now, this is working. And so if you could help just get it in front of more people so more people hear the messages, that would be greatly appreciated. As you know, at the Leveled Up podcast here, we are all about all things that are towards leveling up your life. So that is a wide spectrum of things, because life is made up of, obviously, everything. And you can be great in one area and be lacking in another. And the goal is to be well-rounded and, try and be the best version you can in all of those aspects. So I like to touch on all things that affect you becoming the best version of yourself, us becoming the best version of ourselves, because it's a lifelong journey. Personal development, it's a lifelong journey for everyone, and it takes continual practice and across all areas. And it's not something you can do just overnight. You know, you got to work on, you may not even be aware of a certain aspect of life that you're lacking in, but then when you hear about it, you're like, oh yeah, you know, I could do better there. And that will trigger you to hopefully be more aware of those things moving forward and allow you to work on those things to better yourselves in those areas. So I was thinking today, I just want to talk about going with the flow. Now, I know that may sound a little hippy-dippy, airy-fairy, as they say, but it is an important thing to at least dive into and to understand what that means in order to, you know, better yourself in that regard. Because one thing many of us, especially people who are driven, entrepreneurial, the type of people who, you know, who are interested in leveling up their lives, oftentimes we are people who like control. We like to be in control, have control of as many things as we can in our lives. But the truth is, sometimes things are out of our control. So I kind of think of it in a way like life as we know it is like a river, metaphorically. And like a river, there's a constant flow to it. It's something that is, yes, rivers do dry up in real life, but there are some that just keep going. And I like to think of life as like a never-ending river, but like a river, those rivers change over time. The water levels will go up, down, river will widen, narrow, the water pressure will change, you know, the current will go faster, slower. So just like that in life, life is very dynamic. Things will change constantly, just as constant as it will be flowing. And I say life, but I believe that this continues even after life. But since nobody has experience in that realm, I can't really speak on that, but it's just my belief. But the thing is, while we're here on this plane, in this dimension, we are like an object in the river. And oftentimes we'll try to plant ourselves because we want to control or have the sense of control. And I'd say there's times that, you know, that may be beneficial. The change in perspective for you to plant yourself and let life flow around you. But ultimately, we have to embrace the fact that we can't control the flow of things. We can't stop or really, I don't want to say can't alter the flow, but the flow is going to continue. And you can fight it as much as you want, but eventually you're gonna have to go with it. So the more you fight it, you're granting yourself a different perspective in that time, an altered perspective where you may feel in control. But if you take a step back, truly you're fighting the inevitable, which is the going with the flow. So there's going to be times in life where things happen and it's not the way that you anticipated. And it's going to be this way mostly every time. I can't tell you, pretty much every time that I have a vision of how something's going to go, and then I go through the experience, it is never the way that I think it's going to go. But some people get so hung up on that vision of how it's supposed to go that if it's not going that way in reality, in as it's playing out, they will fight it and self-sabotage because they think that it's not happening the way that it should, when everything is happening as it should, because life just happens and you are going through it as it happens and experiencing it as it happens. And while you're able to, alter reality in the sense that you can create something from nothing, from an idea, and by putting in work and actions towards that goal consistently over time, you can bring something into reality that was not there before. But as I said, oftentimes it's not going to happen the way that you picture it. And as I'm saying this, I'm reminded of somebody who I worked with in my music career, who we were working together and making good progress on our, what we were working on. And he would always get shut down or pessimistic or all negative towards things because it wasn't happening the way that he thought it should. But I would have to tell him this is what it is. What we're doing right now is what we're trying to do. It's just not this crazy, awesome, party, whatever image you have in your head of how you thought it was going to be. It's not that. But we are, in fact, doing what we set out to do and making progress towards it. And, he had a hard time accepting that. And that's where the phrase go with the flow, I think, carries some weight, because we have to understand that while we are able to create something out of nothing, when you throw in all the other variables of life everything around you, that river, as I said, it's going to change and do what it's going to do regardless of how you think it should go. And being unable to let go of that, it should be this way, like, can really stop you from progressing. You see this in relationships all the time, because you bring another person into the mix. You know, you have expectations of how a relationship's supposed to be, and this other person does too, and they may be different. You may even, that doesn't mean that you're not right for each other. You may be great for each other, but you have different views on the way a relationship is supposed to be. And it can cause a lot of problems when one person is like, just can't, when both people just like, I think it should be this way, I think it should be this way. They don't say that, but they just clash because their love languages are speaking different languages, and they're not communicating in that sense. So ultimately, their inability to go with the flow of their relationship stops them from being able to allow that relationship to really flourish. And that's not to say, like, if one party believes that they should be able to sleep with whoever they want and the other one believes monogamy is, like, I'm not talking about that, because those are two different ideals completely. So in that situation, those people should not try to be together. But I'm talking about when, someone believes that, this is how this is how the guy's supposed to be, this is how the girl's supposed to be, and the other party believes this is how the guy's supposed to be, this is how the girl's supposed to be. But in both of those things, there is a lot of overlap. So they have to find a common ground, and that only happens by being able to go with the flow long enough to let things play out, rather than being like, whoa, this is not how I want and see things should be, so just bail. Like I said earlier, people's inability to go with the flow causes them to self-destruct, or ruin the plan altogether, because it's not how they want it to be. So I just wanted to rant on this, on the idea of going with the flow and what that means to me, because it is something that you need to practice. You're going to realize, it happens all the time. When you have something coming up and you have this picture in your head of how it's going to be, and then you go through with it, it isn't how you pictured it. In those moments, catch yourself and realize what's going on. Like, this isn't exactly what I expected, but let's let it play out. As long as it doesn't go against your core values and isn't causing harm to yourself or others, catch yourself, find yourself in the moment and realize I may not be able to control all aspects of this, but I am in control of myself and how I react to everything in the situation. So I'm going to put my best foot forward and be my best me in this situation, but the rest I can't control. So go at it with pure intentions and allow things to happen, because ultimately, in order to progress and build, you have to do shit. And if you don't do anything because you realize you can't control everything, nothing gets done. So you're better off trying to do something, even if it isn't how you think it's going to go, because you're at least trying and making forward progress rather than just, sitting still and not doing anything because you can't control it. So hopefully this message resonates with someone. I think it is an important one to at least touch on if you are someone who's trying to level up your life. So again, thank you for joining me here today. If you could, click share, hit the subscribe button, and if you are interested in one-on-one mindset and fitness coaching, get your mind and body right and dialed in, I'll have a link in the description where you could sign up. And also, I do have an online course, the Get Fit Blueprint, which teaches you what you need to know to get the body that you desire. I'll have a link in the description for that as well. And I look forward to hopefully working with you. Reach out and we'll see if you're a good fit. You can DM me on Instagram at @TheRealMikeAdler. That's the best place to reach me, or email me at therealmikeadler@gmail.com. And until next time, try to just go with the flow. See you next time. Peace.